This is Rose Harvey. She was a lawyer and now she's a pro runner, and she's going to give us 10 tips on how to get good at running. So let's get into it. So Rose, for people who don't know you, can you explain your journey from lawyer to pro runner?
Yeah, sure. So 2.5 years ago, my life looked pretty different actually. I was working as a corporate lawyer, working really long hours, and I loved running. I was actually really into triathlon at the time, but just had like no time to do it. Working all the evenings, so never made training sessions, and actually a lot of my running was running to and from the office. And then in April, when was it, March 2020, as we all know, lockdown hit, and I suddenly got made redundant. I decided that I was going to sign up for a half Ironman, and basically for 3 months I was like, I'm going to train like a pro triathlete and see how good I can get. Then a few weeks later, I was training in the park and a running coach came up to me and asked if I wanted some help. I was like, yeah, great, I don't have a clue what I'm doing. Brilliant. So I started training with this coach, and I just loved it. I loved the progression, I loved the structure of having a plan, and quite quickly realised I was getting much better at running. This kind of coincided with lockdown being extended. Triathlon, along with every other event, was cancelled, and my running coach was like great because he just wanted to coach me for running. He wasn't interested in triathlon. So that was kind of how I got taking running a bit more seriously. Basically just worked really hard with this coach for 18 months, and then ran a marathon, ran a really big PB, 2:30. And it kind of snowballed from there. I went on to get an England best, which was just one of those moments where I was like, how has this happened?
Yeah.
I got a new job as a lawyer by then, still got to pay the bills, but I was still kind of taking running more seriously and doing all the training. And yeah, really quickly after that, I then ran Seville Marathon, ran a big PB, and 2:27 off the back of that, got approached by Puma.
That is such an incredible story, and now I want to get into what you think's kind of helped and what can help other people get even better at running. First one I wanted to talk about is running more. So I think one thing you said there is that you went from kind of running to work or not really being able to run that much to suddenly kind of ramping it up. Do you think that's one of the key things that's helped you take it up another level?
Yeah, definitely. It's, I did build it up quite quickly, and that's not always the best approach. So obviously it's quite high risk with injury.
Yeah.
But I think I did go from running about sort of 35 miles a week to running 70. And wow. Inevitably that is going to get you fitter. So I definitely think just, especially with marathon, you do kind of need to run quite a lot to get good. So that was definitely a big factor.
Yeah, because a big part of it is like just prepping your legs, especially for the marathon distance. But what's your opinion on if someone right now is running maybe 5K once a week and they don't think they can do that more often? Do you think maybe dropping down the distance a little bit and just running more often would actually help enabling that 5K to get a little bit faster as well?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, with running, consistency is key. So I would say, if you can, you've got to be realistic about what you can fit in. But if you can go from running once a week to running 3 times a week, even if it is a bit shorter, then overall your mileage for that week is likely to be higher, so that will definitely help.
And you'll start to find as well that the more you run, the easier it feels, and then you get into a routine, and it's not the one time a week where you go, oh, I've got to do this big scary thing.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you get that sort of muscle adaptation if you just do it regularly, and that will help it feel easier, and it will help you go quicker.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to ask you about as well is you obviously started off by doing Ironman, and for people who just run, cross training is a big thing as well. Do you think the fact that you were doing cycling and swimming as well actually helped with your running at the start?
Yeah, definitely. I think, it does, especially on the bike, it does really help you build an aerobic base. And I'd say definitely if you're going from, if you're trying to build up your running volume, cross training, it doesn't completely, there's a reason pro cyclists aren't also pro runners. You do need to run, and you do get some adaptation from just pure running. But I think if you're trying to kind of build up your mileage slowly, which is always a good idea, supplementing it with some bike or the elliptical is a really good way of doing it, because it's non-impact, but you're still kind of building that aerobic base up. So I did that a lot in the first, well, I've only just like got my mileage up to a place where I've cut back my cross training.
Yeah.
But at the start, I really focused on doing a lot of my, I guess, base mileage on the bike and cross training, just so it was a bit less impact.
A lot of people as well assume that because it's your job, you must get out of bed every single morning, like, woo, I'm buzzing for every single run that I'm going to go and do. But I'm guessing that's not the case.
Oh my God, no way. No, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it. And I do wake up every day and I'm like, I'm so lucky I get to do this as a job. But yeah, there are definitely sessions where I'm like, I really don't want to do this. And, you know, especially when you just sometimes go through phases where you just are not feeling it.
Yeah, so what other things do you do to try and kind of make it more fun and more enjoyable?
I think just having a plan and having goals definitely helps, because you know what you're working towards and you've got a reason and a purpose to get out for that session you don't really want to do and get out for that run.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think just having like lots of little goals really helps me. Not necessarily races, but it can just be a session I'm targeting or a long one I want to do particularly well on.
Yeah, and I think that's the key as well, is like making it fun every single week or or even every single run, because so often, especially with the marathon, your block is so long and the end goal, like the end race, can seem so far away at the start that you kind of do need to keep making it fun.
Yeah, you need to break it down, I think.
Yeah.
Otherwise it does just seem like a really long haul.
Yeah, because it's hard to envisage. So I trained 3 months for my marathon, and that is so long to think about, like, well, I've got my end goal and that's what I'm going to keep working towards, especially if you're training in the winter and it's dark, 6 a.m, you're going out for a run.
Yeah.
The thought of a marathon isn't really going to make that any better. So whether it's training with friends, joining a club, like you say, setting little goals for each session, if you make it that little bit more fun, I think that can definitely help getting out the door as well.
Yeah, definitely. Or, you know, just finding new routes, just having something. At the weekend, I'll always make sure I go out I love going to Richmond Park or along the river and go to somewhere nice rather than just trudging around my same running routes all the time, just to keep it interesting.
100%, I love doing that. And then as well, it takes all of the guesswork out of it as well, because if you just head out the door and you have no plan, then it can be really tempting to go like, oh, well, I was going to do 10k, but actually if I turn left here, I can just get back home.
Yes.
So then I can do it. Whereas if you use like Strava or Garmin Connect, you can plot out a really nice route, or even just let it plot a route for you, and then you just go on a little tour of London that you've never seen before.
And then you know there's only one way back. You've got to do the whole thing.
Yeah, don't do an out and back. That's the danger route. So we've talked about lots of running, but I guess another important thing is taking breaks as well, because you've said that you would take a break as well, like within a training block. So what do you do on rest days?
It kind of varies. I mean, sometimes I will take a full rest day of doing nothing if I'm feeling really knackered, but I generally like to keep moving a bit. I tend to feel worse after a rest day. It's weird. It's like my body just stops. Yeah, but I love swimming. I think swimming is great because it is literally no impact. It kind of uses different muscles, and I almost find it like a physio session. You just feel really good and like loose afterwards. So yeah, I love doing a bit of swimming.
Yeah, because I guess it's so different to running as well. Yeah. And like the importance of rest days is allowing your body to just repair and recover. So for like someone like you who's running really, really often, then like taking a bit of active recovery is great. For someone who's maybe running like 3 or 4 times a week, then on those rest days, maybe going for a walk or like trying to still be a little bit active, but definitely taking time away from running. Like just going out, if you're not used to it, and just trying to run every single day is not going to be helpful, is it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, getting fit is a combination of hard work and recovery, and you need that recovery to get the adaptation. So it is really important.
What is your top recovery tip?
Oh, I love getting a good massage, a good sports massage. Just kind of loosens everything up and yeah, it makes you feel great. So yeah.
I think as well, I'm the same. I like love a massage gun. I do not get a massage often enough, but like if I take 10 minutes with a massage gun to just actually get the like knots out of your muscles, I think you can, especially if you're in a training block, it's so easy to forget how tight all of your muscles are getting because you're using them so much.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I love a massage gun as well. I kind of use that in between, and then I'll get a good sports massage every couple of weeks.
Yeah, and then you're like fully reset.
Yeah.
Ready to
Good to go.
Yeah. So building up is one thing that we've talked about as well before. What is your top tip for someone who kind of wants to get better at running and kind of slowly build up their mileage?
I think just do it really slowly. I think there's a kind of rough rule of 10%, but it kind of depends where you're going, because if you're doing 20 miles, you can probably do a bit more than 2 miles more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the key is just build up really slowly. So don't go from running 2 times a week to trying to run every single day, because A, it's going to feel really hard, and it's going to be really hard to stick to it, and B, there's an injury risk as well. So yeah, I think just try and be patient with it and make a plan so you can look at how much you'll build up your mileage. I think it's sometimes, actually, if you're running with friends or running with a group, it's sometimes really easy to just go to every session and do all the miles and not realise you're actually ramped it up really quickly.
Yeah.
So I think just keeping aware of it, and Strava's also a really great way to track it, because you can see your weekly mileage on a graph and check you're not, it should be like a nice curve, not like the Alps.
Yeah. So we've talked about a lot of stuff. Now I want to ask you for if you could have one top tip for what's made you really good at running, what would it be?
Well, I think, as we said, making a plan and making it fun has been really important for me throughout the whole journey. But also just invest in a really good pair of shoes, because honestly, it makes such a big difference.
Yeah, what did you start? Did you start running in just trainers at the back of the cupboard? And then did you notice a difference when you got like proper running marathon shoes up?
Oh my gosh, yeah, definitely. If I think back to, I actually did London Marathon for fun years before I got good. And I look at the shoes that I did them in, and they must have weighed like, I don't know how much, but they were so chunky. And of course, no carbon plate. So yeah, no wonder my legs were completely shot.
Yeah, because carbon, so it makes you fast, but also a big thing with carbon plates is it can help you like recover a little bit quicker as well, because it's taking a little bit of the pressure off.
Exactly, it saves your legs. So that's why I use my carbon shoes in training all the time. So for all my sessions, I'll do them in carbon shoes.
No.
And it's more actually to help my recovery and to be able to go again quicker than it is for pace. But yeah, they honestly they are a bit of an investment, but a good pair of carbon shoes.
Do you do that for all of your sessions, or do you kind of vary your shoes between all of the different runs?
Yeah, so I have a different pair for my easy runs, non-carbon shoes. I run most of my easy miles in the Puma Velocity 2s, which are really good everyday trainers, just like super comfy and got loads of miles in them. So all my base mileage in those shoes. And then for my sessions and races, I normally wear the DV8 Elite. For London, I actually wore the DV8 Elite 2, which are not out yet, but they are coming in early 2023.
Nice.
And they're just
are they good?
They're brilliant. Yeah, if you love the DV8 Elite, you'll absolutely love the DV8 Elite too. They're awesome.
I mean, shoes definitely make such a big difference, and if you're going to invest in one thing for running, I think shoes are definitely the way to go.
Yeah, make sure you get new trainers fairly regularly and don't completely wear them to the bone. Yeah,
because I think like industry standard something like between 500 miles roughly.
Yeah.
So that's where your Garmin and your Strava's coming in, because you can have a look at your mileage. Yeah, set the alert. Yeah, and definitely get a new pair of shoes. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for today. It has been so valuable to learn how to get better at running, and best of luck for everything you've got coming up next.
Thank you for having me.
No worries at all. And if you want to get even better at running, then definitely go and watch this. VO2 max is such a good indicator of whether you're getting better, and this fartlek workout will give you such a good session to help your running get even faster.